I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
What is the economic impact of a rail line along Duluth's western corridor? We'll have a discussion.
Well, the Commemorative Air Force and Bong Historic Center are teaming up on a new look at some fascinating artifacts.
Did you know breast cancer hits our native population even harder? We'll hear about a local campaign to fight it.
These stories and a new face for the city of Duluth in our business headlines straight ahead on this edition of Almanac North. Well, hello once again and welcome to Almanac North, and thank you very much for watching. This week's program was recorded on Wednesday. And Julie, still some fall color here in the Northland, but the leaves are going fast.
Starting to look like deer woods out there. You can see right through it.
I think you certainly can. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks Denny, and welcome everyone. Following a move to shorten a scenic rail line in western Duluth, some say the impact would be too great. So an economic study is now underway. Here to tell us more is Monica Haynes, the director of the Bureau of Business and Economic Development at UMD, and Mike Casey, who chairs the Friends of Western Duluth Parks and Trails. And thanks to both of you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Monica, maybe you could start by telling us exactly what the purpose is for the study that UMD is conducting.
Yeah, we were approached by the Friends of the Western Duluth Parks and Trails to help analyze the riders, so looking at the riders of the train and what are they spending locally, what kind of other activities are they participating in Duluth, and how long are they staying, getting some information on kind of what are their habits while they're here in the city so that we can estimate how much spending is happening locally as a result of the train itself.
Mm-hmm. So Mike, how can the train and the Western Waterfront Trail complement each other?
Well, there's a lot of folks that can hike and bike along the trail, and then there's some that cannot, or they don't have the time or the scheduled time to do it. The train provides access for those who otherwise couldn't. It also provides the possibility for those to hike out and to train back, or train out and hike back.
Mm-hmm. Mike, why was it important for your organization to get a handle on the economic impact of the train?
Well, we've been involved in all the stakeholder meetings and the process up to date on the Western Waterfront Trail Extension Plan, and we recognize that there's a lot of really good environmental studies being done on the area and Mud Lake and the impact in that area, but we recognize that there hasn't been an economic impact study done, social or cultural, by that, and on the train itself to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Monica, when you look at the results that are coming in, is there a possibility of future business growth too in Western Duluth because of both assets, the train and the trail?
Well, I think the train has begun doing some interesting partnerships with some local businesses. So the marina, I know, is one business that they've partnered with on the choo-choo paddle. And we have a lot of local Western Duluth businesses that are in support of the project, so have committed funds or letters of support for the project. So, you know, whether or not there would be growth as a result of the train, I'm not sure, because, you know, the train is already in the community. We're just trying to show what that economic impact is of the riders. But I do think that they're beginning to do some more creative initiatives that maybe hadn't been done in the past.
Mm-hmm. How are you actually conducting this study?
So we have a survey, a paper survey that the volunteers on the train are passing out to riders. So each group of riders, each travel group is doing one survey. They are completing information, like I said, about their spending habits and where they're coming from. So, you know, we're primarily interested in spending that's happening from people from outside of the Duluth area. And then we're also asking questions about their, how they appreciated the train ride and things that they liked or didn't like about it, in the hopes that we would be able to do kind of a profile of a typical rider, as well as things that maybe the train could improve upon.
Mike, are you seeing any surprises at all in the results of the survey?
I think so, yes. One of the questions is, it's broken up into 3 segments. The first segment and the second from Munger to Mud Lake, and then the last segment, Mud Lake to the causeway to the end of track. And I think the surprise has been that still the majority of people appreciate and love the causeway because there's water on each side.
Sure.
And getting to the end of track certainly is important. But also a fair amount have said the second segment is one of their favorite segments. I think it's because it's the first place where you get the expanse of Spirit Lake and the water and the vista.
Are you finding the train is actually bringing people to Duluth?
Yes. A couple of numbers slightly surprised me that some people are coming specifically for this train ride, and a lot are planning around that. So it's good to get actual data to show that. There's always been assumptions, so getting data in front of us is always helpful.
And I would add, one thing that surprised me about the results so far, these are just preliminary results because we're still getting surveys coming in, but we did ask, a variety of different activities that happen along the trail or could happen along a trail, and asked riders if they would be likely to participate in various activities like hiking or biking. And most of the riders actually said they would not be able to participate in those activities if the train weren't around. So that was, I thought, pretty surprising, considering, Duluth is a very active city and trails are such a big part of the community, but there is a pretty sizable ridership that would not be able to access the river if it weren't for the train.
Mike, how do you see the train fitting into the plans that are coming together for the St. Louis River corridor? Do you see it as continuing to be a key piece of the puzzle out there, or are plans to shorten it maybe going to take place?
Well, I and our group view the train as an organic asset to the city in the western part of our town. And with a rail and trail system, we've always said it's exponentially more impactful than a rail or a trail. So we see it as, we see it as bringing people to the western corridor for many, many years. I mean, folks don't really know about the train that much because they've operated on a tight budget and 100% volunteer. So the trail will only bring more exposure to it and bring more to the area. So, and the train thus will bring some more people that wouldn't have otherwise come. So
Western Duluth has the train, has the zoo, has the trail. So there are some tremendous assets in that part of town bringing tourists here. Does it look like both the trail and the train will stick around and complement each other for the immediate future?
That's difficult to say exactly. The current plan is to stop the tracks at Mud Lake, which would prevent the train from getting to the end of track. And the end of track is where there's already an existing runaround, which is very expensive to replicate and the safest way to travel. So it's hard. I say it jeopardizes the existence of the train.
Monica, are you hearing at all from members of the business community or neighbors out there as you gather information from the train riders? Is there a component to this study that looks at them too?
We, in terms of best practices for economic impact study, it's typically easier to gather the spending information directly from the riders themselves, from the visitors. So we're not doing any data collection directly from the businesses, but like I said, we have some letters of support and partnerships with the local businesses.
What's the next step? How much more time is going to be put into the study, and when will the final results be done?
Well, the last rides of the train are this weekend, so we will be doing our final data collection this weekend, and then We'll be analyzing the data the rest of the fall and hopefully have a final report at the end of this year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Monica, Mike, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck as you wrap it up and as the season wraps up out there.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Well, some important Air Force relics that were housed in Duluth have now moved across the bridge to the Richard I. Bong Memorial Center. Joining us with details is the Bong Center's Executive Director, Haynes Scriven, and a member of the Lake Superior Squadron of the Commemorative Air Force, DeWayne Tomasek. Gentlemen, welcome. And Haynes, I understand that your place now has gotten quite busy with the Commemorative Air Force over there.
Yeah.
Tell us about the mission of the Richard I. Bong Heritage Center.
Yeah, the basic mission of our institution is that we honor and preserve all veteran stories in the Northland, outlying areas, a couple hundred miles away. That's our basic mission. We're here to tell those stories and keep them for future generations and tell the public about them, because it's important for the public to understand what our veterans went through and just appreciate a different side of
So this is a good fit. Tell us about this.
It's a very good fit, and we were approached. It was probably last November, December, when we got a phone call from the CAF folks saying, "Hey, we're in need of a new space." And if you had been up in the Duluth hangar to see their museum, it was in an older hangar, and it kind of scared me a little bit when I first took it in a couple months ago. But it is an amazing collection that they had, and for when we got the call that they were like, "Hey, we need some help. Would you help us with mainly their collection pieces and storing it, because we have the high-end collection storage space, we have the humidity control space, the controlled spaces for collections of their caliber. This is a very valuable collection." And also they said, the know-how on how to display stuff, and we jumped at the opportunity to help them out and help make some connections for them as well in the community. And we're just super excited to finally be at the point where we're opening this exhibit on the 25th with them.
Wonderful.
Now, I'm going to back things up a little bit, because I think that there may be some viewers out there who are completely unfamiliar with what the Commemorative Air Force is. So give us a little bit of a primer into that.
Okay. Reader's Digest version of the Commemorative Air Force. We started back in 1974. We are worldwide now. We have 71 units around the world, over 10,000 members, and we are all volunteers. It started off as the Confederate Air Force. And the story goes is that 4 gentlemen from Texas pooled their money together, and they bought a surplus P-51 Mustang. And while they were in the restaurant having lunch, somebody came out and painted Confederate Air Force on the side of the P-51, and it stuck. The name changed to Commemorative Air Force back in 1990. And we are, as Hayes mentioned earlier, we are in the education department. We are restoring World War II aircraft to flying condition so that we can display them flying around the country. And we educate. We have tour groups coming through all the time.
So, DeWayne, will moving to the Bong Center make the Commemorative Air Force display more visible to the public?
Absolutely.
In what way?
We were in a little difficult location at the Duluth Airport. Great people up there to work with. It's just that our facility became uninhabitable at the time, so that's when we sought the Bong Center. But now with the exposure that we've got now, it's going to be just absolutely phenomenal. I can't thank these people enough.
Who wants to share some of the specifics of the display and what story it will tell?
Well, DeWayne, they know their collection way better than I, but it's so impressive. It's just great.
What are
Okay,
some of the specific items?
Specific items, okay. One exhibit is a collection of all the medals and awards that are available to be worn by all U.S. service personnel. They are real. There are no fakes. The only one that is missing is the Medal of Honor. Now, being a museum, I can acquire the Medal of Honor from the Department of Defense on loan. There's paperwork that has to be filled out. It's got to be in a secure area, which the Bong Center is, videotaped. It has to be in a secured enclosure, which we've got. But when they asked for $40 for the loan, I said, forget it.
Well, we already have a Medal of Honor for
That's
you,
right.
yes.
So,
And other items?
other items, I have a collection of shoulder patches from the U.S. Army used during World War II that are on display. Again, these are all real, and people can actually get within a few inches of them and take a close look at them. We have the largest, from what I've been told, we have the largest Luftwaffe uniform collection in the north central United States under one roof. We've got summer uniforms, winter uniforms, tropic uniforms, complete.
And you won't see that anywhere else. You know, it's an amazing collection that was collected by one person. And the story behind the collection is amazing, and we'll have that on display so people can see it. And just for them to see the other side of this. So this is a German, complete set from World War II. For people to see that, they're not going to see that, like he said, in the upper Midwest. I don't even know if you'd see it in a complete collection like that in the United States. And for a long time, we were talking about access. It was up in the hangar in Duluth, and you had to make a call, to try and get up there. And now people have access to all this stuff at our center on display now, and it's more. So I'm so excited for that public access to finally see these historical relics.
The Commemorative Air Force is also restoring a PBY aircraft. Actually, you have two of them.
We have
one
two of
you're
them.
trying to get back into flyable condition. Is that right, DeWayne?
That's correct. We have one that we've painted black to honor the black cats that were in the South Pacific on search and rescue and patrol missions. That's sitting on the ramp. Use caution. People driving to the Bong Airport, where they're located now, they have to concentrate on their driving because it's right at the curve. And if they look at this airplane and not driving, they'll wind up in the drainage ditch. So we can't have that. But we will put the aircraft back together. Right now it's in sections, so we could transport it down. The second aircraft is located inside the hangar of the old terminal building, and that's the aircraft we are presently restoring back into flying conditions. It was flipped over on its back in '98 down in the Twin Cities, from a tornado. And we've been rebuilding it ever since.
Hayes, now tell us a little bit about the launch of the exhibit. When can people see all of this?
Yeah, so Thursday, October 25th at 6 o'clock, we're having an opening ceremony at the center, so you'll be the first time the public can come in and look at it. We're having a free beer and wine tasting, so Castle Danger, Canal Park Brewing, our friends at Keyport, any of the best beer in the community that you can get at, it's going to be there. So yeah, come down, hang out, see it from 6 to 8 on the 25th.
And I lost the value to the center in terms of.
It's just it's amazing for us to partner with a group like the CAF is absolutely great, and just to display these historical relics is a huge value for us, and to expose it for the school kids moving forward, it's going to be great.
Hayes, DeWayne, I wish we had much more time. We don't. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
You can always come out.
All the best.
Bring
We
the
will do
cameras,
that.
You two come with.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Breast cancer is a serious concern for all, but for the Native community, the threat is amplified. Our Mike Lagarde reports on what's being done about that.
Breast cancer in the American Indian population is at a higher rate than the non-Hispanic white population, which leads to a 10% higher death rate as well. And the problem is that our people are not getting screened early enough. Early detection is absolutely key to treating breast cancer. Breast cancer is a treatable cancer. There are different stages, and we know that stage 1, there's a 98% survival rate. So the earlier that we're able to be screened, the earlier we're able to detect the cancer, the earlier we're able to treat it.
The American Indian Cancer Foundation is a national nonprofit based in Minneapolis, and we work with all tribes, American Indian, Alaska Native people across the U.S. Everything that we do is rooted in cultural wisdom of our people. It's really important that we use these traditional teachings and combine that with the scientific evidence that's available. And we're able to do that in a way that weaves that together. We don't do it alone, we do it in partnership, because the communities that we work with are the ones with the solutions to the challenges that they face. When it comes to cancer, our people are dealing with increasing cancer mortality rates, while the rest of the population has seen decreasing cancer death rates over the last 2 decades, and that's just not okay. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a great opportunity for ACAF to really raise awareness about cancer. We call it Indigenous Pink Month, and that really engages Native women in recognizing that breast cancer is an issue that we need to pay attention to.
So Indigenous Pink is ACAF's twist on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's our way of indigenizing the work that we're doing. Our goal overall is to increase awareness of the cancer incidence and mortality, breast cancer incidence and mortality among American Indian women, because we have pretty high rates and unfortunately have late stage diagnosis often. So our goal is to increase those screening rates, to raise awareness and get women talking to their mothers and sisters and aunts about getting screened. What I'm doing in my role is working on our national outreach and partnering with the urban clinics across the country meant to serve American Indians and Alaska Natives. More than 70% of the American Indian and Alaska Native population lives off the reservation, which is not an extremely well-known fact. So a lot of funding is focused on tribal members, and that is important because it's needed when it comes to healthcare dollars for specifically allocated for Native people. Less than 2% goes to urban clinics.
As a national organization that doesn't do direct service, we do capacity building work. And so it's really about the number of communities we're able to reach and the ways that we're able to reach them. Every time we go into a community to do education, we make sure that somebody from that community is alongside of us so that when we leave, they're able to continue the work and do it stronger and better and more confidently than they did before we came.
It's time now for the business news from the folks at Business North. The United Steelworkers Union and U.S. Steel reached a tentative agreement on a new labor pact on Monday. It came just 4 days after steelworkers employed by Cleveland Cliffs ratified their new contract, which was negotiated separately. John Arbogast, president of USW Local 1938 at Mintech Mine in Mountain Iron, said the company's offer changed substantially from when negotiations began, adding that workers did great with health care, wages, and pensions. About 1,200 union members work at Mintech Mine and about 350 at Keetac. United Steelworkers leaders from 13 locals across the nation resumed contract negotiations with ArcelorMittal, where unionized employees are currently working with an expired agreement.
The city of Duluth has selected its top non-elected administrative official. Noah Schuckman has been selected as CAO to replace David Montgomery, who has retired. Schuckman was employed by the city of Minneapolis for the past 15 years, most recently as Director of Regulatory Services. His work included oversight of housing and fire inspections, traffic and parking enforcement, animal control, and other areas. His selection is subject to City Council ratification on October 22nd.
The 65-foot vessel Archipelago is the newest of Apostle Island Cruises' 3 boats that provide tours in the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore. The Bayfield business is using the catamaran for its Sea Caves and Lighthouses tour, Express Grand Tour, and Evening Grand Tour. The Archipelago has a capacity of 150 passengers and features an open upper deck, a heated cabin, large windows, and handicapped accessible facilities. The company offers some of its tours through October 21st, although they are offered on a reduced schedule at this time of year. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment, be sure to dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. And visit the WDSE website for the latest programming, news, and special events here in the region. And Denny, should be another lovely weekend, maybe a little bit of sunshine?
That would be nice. Whatever you do, stay warm. Fall is well underway.
Fall is in the air. For Denny and the crew here at WDSE, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.